Hello there everybody and welcome. In this video I got you 10 tips and tricks for a good start. These things will help you to make your city more stable and always have some people ready that want to travel into your city. So let's get started without much further talking with the first thing. Food first. So, I mean, it comes as a pretty clear thing, but food is really important and should be always your number one concern. Always make sure that your production rate is higher than your consumption rate, and that is one thing that is true for all stages of the game. Your food income should be done via pastures, because every city starts with a little bit of livestock, so make yourself pasture right from the get-go. Don't make it too large because it would take way too long to build. You can later expand on it. This one I made small at the beginning and then I enlarged it when my situation was more stable. Fisheries also require almost no resources whatsoever. They only require a few pieces of log, and wherever there's one of these fish icons, you can basically set up a fisher, and each of these icons provides job for up to 2 fisher people. This is a food source which is absolutely dirt cheap and quickly to come by. The other thing that you have access to are hunters. You will require furniture for these, but they are really good for the early game. Just keep in mind that they suffer from diminishing returns. That means if you employ too many hunters, you will eventually run dry. Farms are something you should always do later. Farms are long-term things. Farms only yield an income once per year and therefore are really bad for the beginning of the game. Another thing that you can always use is either foraging for wild crops that grow out there, like you see there, vegetables and fruit and whatnot. Your people will pick these in the time that they are ready. You also see sometimes wild critters on the map. These can be hunted with the hunt job found down here. Just keep in mind that sometimes the hunters that you assign to these jobs manually will die because sometimes wild animals are dangerous. So whatever you do, always keep in mind you need to keep your people sated, because nothing makes your citizens lose their mind faster than facing starvation. I wonder why. So, number 2. The basics are so important. Make sure that hearths and wells are available for all of your citizens everywhere. A hearth is only working if there is timber available, so make sure that the stockpiles, warehouses are not too far away. And make sure that these services are available everywhere where you accumulate citizens. If you build an outpost somewhere else, hearth and well next to it. If you build a lot of workspaces somewhere else, hearth and well next to it. If you have somewhere where you feel like it's too far away, hearth and well next to it. The thing is, people will die in winter if they can't find a hearth where they can warm themselves. They also can be warmed with clothing, as you can't see it here, but getting a sustainable income of clothing together is a pretty difficult task, and hearths and wells protect for this pretty decently. Wells protect you from heat death, so not the heat death of the universe, but the opposite. If it's too hot, you just can't go swimming in there. It also offers your citizens a place to wash themselves. And last but not least, put up a mass grave at least at the beginning of the game, because also nothing makes your people lose their mind as fast as being starving and seeing your dead friends every day because nobody did bury them, because they're still lying on the streets and making everybody ill. So these are really fundamentals that get you that will be important for the remainder of the game. Now, number 3, I want to stick with the basic services. There are food stalls, which only require stone and wood, that start distributing food to your citizens. Not only is this pretty useful, it also makes your citizens happy. It is really cheap to come by and therefore should be done very quickly. Same goes for the speaker. The speaker is a super cheap service and only binds one person, but boy does it make people happy if there's somebody shouting the news at your face every morning. So make good use of that. And last but not least, shrines. Shrines have been added in version 65 and they are super cheap. You can have shrines to the deities that your people worship. You can find it in the question mark area here. You see everybody has their favorite religion. So put up them shrines early on and you make your citizens quite happy just with wood and stone alone without refining any materials. It is that easy. So, number 4, put your housing where the work is and also the services alongside with that. So here, for example, I have a couple of houses in the center of this because I'm accumulating jobs. But for example, if I'd be building now a mine out there, I'd also be starting to build housing in the vicinity and start putting up all the services that I have here over there as well, because the logic is quite simple. People, when they have a craving, look for the next best available spot to fulfill their service. If they have to walk a long way for that, they waste time. That is just one thing. Also, their happiness declines. That is another thing. So putting up the services where the work is and the housing at the same time resolves all of those issues. And by the way, when you click here into the housing icon, you can always find out if there is a yellow sign here. You can see which industry is currently lacking housing. So when there is a severe lack of housing, like you see it here, just wait for a while. The game will show you via yellow dots, yellow dotted areas where the housing needs to go. Now, number 5, never stop a service. Seriously, once they are established, this can lead to traumatizing events. This goes especially to burial. So if you have provided a graveyard, it is of essential importance that there is always a graveyard spot now available for everybody. Because once the graveyard is full and there is no more graveyard spots available, your people will treat you as if you haven't provided the service at all. I've seen cities spiral into chaos, death, and mayhem out of that. So whatever you do, just never shut off a service entirely. Rather, build a new one, and especially with the graveyards, be careful. It really cost me some cities. Now, number 6, janitors. Janitors are essential. You can't do much without the janitor. When you set up a janitor's workshop, you see how far their sphere of influence goes. And to put it into simple terms, your entire city must be inside of this blue mesh grid, otherwise it will turn into crap. The downsides of degradation are severe. The building will work much slower, and it's just a mess if you happen to let your cities degrade. Therefore, just have a couple of janitors and put them onto auto-employ. Once you notice that the building of the janitor is running at full employment, you should definitely build up a new one. And don't you worry too much if these mesh grids start to overlap. The auto-employ system somewhat balances things out, and yeah, there is always enough work to do. Just make sure to spread them out as good as you can. But never ever build a city without janitor access. It's so darn important. Number 7, roads and benches. So roads are making people happy. That's here in the environmental tab. Everybody loves roads. There is not a single civilization out there that doesn't care about roads. So the cool part here is that in the construction area, dirt roads are dirt cheap. They give up to 50% happiness for roads. As you see here, road access 50%. That means only 50% of the desire for roads can be fulfilled with dirt roads. They make people happier, faster. So what's not to like about that? Later down the road, pun intended, you should upgrade them to stone roads, which satisfy the needs much more and make you faster. But at the same time, start out with a couple of roads just when you start building the city. Not only does it make your logistics more efficient, it does make people happier. And benches are a similar thing. Benches are available right from the beginning of the game, and I have discovered that there is also not a single civilization that doesn't care about benches. So benches are therefore a real powerful little thing, and they are found in the decorations menu here. Construct decorations, and here you can build benches. These cost you a little bit of furniture, but they are super powerful. Later you can also set up lighting when you have the metal for it, but it's a little bit harder to come by. Also, everybody loves lighting, or at least almost everybody. All these decorations can help you a lot to make your city more stable. Number 8, basics of trade. So you don't have to use import or export stations. You can use your local factions. You can go into the diplomacy sector, demand a certain resource. For example, we can demand now, I don't know, 20 pieces of furniture, and then you just offer your building resources. Just make sure to know that you can only offer what is inside of a warehouse. But, wood is a resource that is available like crazy in most biomes. And having some wood in the storehouse, a larger amount, allows you to trade it for all manner of different things. Metal, furniture, whatever you want and need to set up your city early on, and it is much easier than using the import depot. The import depot is more meant for steady and repeating trade, whereas this menu up here in the diplomacy sector will help you a long time. Sometimes you need to establish trade first by giving them some gifts or whatnot, but it's absolutely worth it. So, number 9, science without mistakes. So at some point you will unlock laboratories. Science in this game is like you shall never stop sciencing. So the first rule is whoever starts working in the lab will forever work in the lab. You will not want to let knowledge points decay, and they will decay as soon as less workers are working in there. So that means, pretty simply said, make sure your labs are at a spot in the city that has a high stability, always in the vicinity of the janitor, and say goodbye to your scientists from the work pool forevermore. That's it. Not much more needed in that regard, but these rules are absolutely important. Especially the janitor in the vicinity is extremely important, because you might run into the problem that your labs degrade and then the production speed goes slower, and that leads to a loss of research points, and ultimately you can start forgetting technologies, which turns your entire city into a ball of death and mayhem. Therefore, make sure that you fulfill these, and science is an easy thing, just very labor intense. And last but not least, number 10, I want to talk about furniture for your housing. In the access menu here, you can assign stuff to the houses of your people. Every pip here is a fulfillment, and you can see when you mouse over it how much they will require. So here in total they want 160 stone for their housing. Whenever I press the plus button, I assign a portion of that. These things are hauled into the house once, and then they degrade per year. You get an estimation here how much of that resource you will now need, but this is a way of sacrificing the resources you got to make your people massively happier. These upgrades here are powerful, really powerful. And at least stone, wood, furniture, these are pretty common among all the different species. And in all honesty, I find them really easy to gather, and therefore it's really paying off to check these menus out if you haven't already. And that's that. If you use all the things that I have introduced here in this video, you should have not much of a trouble to keep your city stable and let it grow without spiraling too much into chaos. Yeah, I don't have much more to add. Just have some fun with Songs of SYX, keep your people fed, make sure your graveyards never are full, and what's left to say, but leave me a comment, leave me your good tips. I'm pretty sure I haven't catched them all, and I'm all ears to see, and everybody coming after this video can have a good look at the wisdom of the comment section. Leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and check out the description box. Plenty of cool links down there. There's my Discord, there's my Twitch, and there's supporty links. So click Patreon, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or the channel membership system via YouTube. I don't mind either of these. I'd be super happy if you did. Big thanks to the supporters of Icon Gaming, and a big thanks to you for watching this video. I really appreciate everybody watching videos up until the very end. See you all next time. Bye bye.